Hi, I'm Annie Fitzsimmons. I'm your Washington Realtors legal hotline lawyer, and this is another video in our series entitled Overconfident Sellers plus Overeager Buyers equals Broker Liability. And the focus today is on a practice I'm seeing from some listing brokers that I don't understand. And it's beyond risky. Here's the practice. Listing broker is requiring buyers to provide with their offer a copy of the buyer's credit report, their financial data, including their loan-to-debt ratios, maybe their tax returns, and some other financial documentation. And the reason I say I don't understand this practice is because, well, that's really the best way to explain it. I don't understand it. Why does a listing broker need that information? What on earth is a listing broker going to do with that information? Is the listing broker going to assure the seller that I, the listing broker, have reviewed this financial documentation for the buyer? Don't worry, this buyer is a good credit risk. They'll be able to get the loan and close the transaction. Because listing brokers, unless you've got a lender's license and experience, you're not the person to make that representation. Your much better advice and industry standard advice is to advise the seller to rely on a well-drafted and documented pre-qualification or a pre-approval letter from the buyer's lender. And if you're worried that the pre-approval letter you've gotten from a buyer is not reliable, then or not you, listing broker, but the seller, it's reasonable for the seller to require any buyer who's going to purchase with a financing contingency to go to the seller's preferred lender to get a pre-approval letter. Buyer, you can purchase this property using a financing contingency if and only if my lender has pre-approved you. Now, that's not saying the buyer has to get the loan from the pre-approval. That's a different issue, and we can cover that in a different video. But for the purposes of this video, where listing brokers are expecting buyers to provide to the listing broker and to the seller for their review the actual fundamental documents that make up decisions determining buyers' financial capacity, listing brokers, you are not the person to be reviewing that documentation. And if you're not going to be reviewing that documentation and giving the seller assurances based on your review of that documentation, then why on earth do you need that documentation? Instead, make the buyers give you a qualified pre-approval letter. And if you don't trust the lender that's given you the that's issued the pre-approval letter for the buyer, then make the buyer go get one from the lender that you do trust. If you have questions on this topic or anything else that you see emerging in this crazy marketplace, please send an email to me, legalhotline@warealtor.org. Thank you for being a Washington Realtors member.